Welcome back to Pace Immigration, paceimmigration.com, talking once again with immigration lawyer Andy Semichuk, U.S. and Canadian immigration lawyer, and we're going to bend your U.S. ear today.
Okay.
Because not much has been happening
Oh,
in U.S. immigration.
are you kidding?
That's right. Let's start at the top right now. Let's put some minds at ease if we can. We might not
Right.
change minds, but we might ease some minds.
Yeah.
Let's start with the, the ban on
Yes.
people coming into the United States. Give us a quick rundown.
Okay, so there were these 7 countries that were these so-called Muslim countries that were identified some time ago under Barack Obama's presidency as possible terrorist-generating countries.
Right.
And so when Trump came into power, he signed an executive order delaying any incoming traffic from those countries for 90 days while supposedly they get their act organized. And so
Right.
there's this issue about them coming in.
Right.
And with respect to Syria in particular, there's a ban not just 90 days, but just a ban on refugees from Syria.
Indefinitely.
Yes, all supposedly related to potential terrorist problems.
Right. So no visas from these 7 countries for the next 90 days, or I guess
Right.
87 days now if there's a
Right.
countdown of some kind. So basically for those people now, I mean, you wrote a blog on this, and I helped you out with that a little bit, took a look at it when we published it.
Right.
You come down on both sides of it. Basically, the ideas behind it are not unique. As you said, Barack Obama, even George W. Bush, and others have used quote-unquote visa bans, or
Right.
even in Canada, when we
Yes,
reach
they
a
have.
certain limit of refugees, we say no more for this year, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the rollout was brutal in
It
this
was.
case.
It was awful. People were on airplanes flying into the United States to find out that they can't land
Right.
because their visas are not good anymore. Prominent individuals from Hollywood and the sports community and so on
Right.
are all affected by these things. So rollout-wise and the way the program was implemented was catastrophe.
Right. Now let's answer this question too. At first, and this was part of the catastrophe of the rollout. It was, I guess, last Friday that they said that green card holders were going to be inspected further, but now they're saying no, green card holders are okay coming
Yeah.
into the United States.
I was very impressed by the new head of the Department of Homeland Security, who issued a memo saying, as far as green cards are concerned, no problem. And the way he did it is he said, look, I'm in charge of deciding what's in the national interest here in the area of immigration. I deem that anybody with a green card should be able to come into the United States. That's a matter of national interest. And for that reason, anybody who has a green card is not someone who needs to worry about entering the United
Right.
States.
And further to this, actually, and we didn't talk about it before we came on camera because I just saw it in the news, similar to what in Canada happens when there's a ministerial permit
Yeah.
where they allow someone in. Right now, I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 900 refugees from these countries have actually been accepted in the U.S. since Friday.
Right.
So
This
there
is
is
case-by-case
Exactly.
decisions where they're making exceptions on behalf of some people.
Exactly. So even though there's a ban in effect, it's not as total as some people might think.
Correct.
Again, this, the rollout was brutal.
It
I mean,
was.
that's where all this confusion and
Right.
everything comes from. They
Right.
got to do better with their communication on this
True.
completely.
Well, the whole thing for me is President Trump is trying to do it by executive order. It might be better if he tried to work with his Congress. After all, Republicans run the Congress now.
Yeah.
Perhaps they could put something together a little more effectively by doing it through Congress.
And we've talked about that before. I mean, your thing is that it needs to be comprehensive. Both
Right.
houses of Congress and the executive branch have to sign off on something, make it
Right.
comprehensive, something that'll last for a long time.
Right.
The problem with this executive order stuff, like we're seeing now, is the executive order from Obama, scratch that, now executive order from Trump. I mean,
That's
nobody
true.
knows what's going to happen tomorrow.
Well, we do, in one sense. Tomorrow, we're going to be in the courts litigating these executive orders.
Right.
Just like Obama had with his DAPA-DACA stuff.
Right.
Trump is now going to be facing the same kind of litigation in the courts, going up the courts to the Supreme Court.
Okay, let's actually touch on that really quickly. DAPA and DACA, that was a big thing during Trump's campaign. Not much talk about it right now.
No. DAPA-DACA got blocked by the Supreme Court in a ruling after Justice Scalia died. It split and therefore it died. The court split and therefore that effort died.
Yes.
There's an old DACA that is a program for kids who came into the United States with their parents and who are under 16. That's still in existence, and for some reason Trump has backed off canceling that for the time being. It's still in existence. We don't know where that's headed.
Your advice to people in DACA? I mean, it's just a wait and see game now, or?
Well, there's this challenge. If Trump is going to be looking for illegal immigrants, it may be not a good idea to be on the DACA program, since you have to be illegal to be on the DACA program. And if he's going to be looking for illegals, I'm not sure it's a great idea to be using that program at the moment. I would back off.
You know, we don't want to sound too glib, because all this is people's lives.
I know.
You know, so it's a lot of stuff.
Let me
up in the
say
air.
a word.
Please
Okay.
do.
Suppose you're in the United States, you're having trouble. Take a look at Canada, for example. If you're a guy coming into the United States, you can't land in the United States, you got a visa, consider coming up to Canada. Maybe there's
Yes.
someone in Canada that can hire you and we can get you in through a Canadian effort of some sort. An example. Humanitarian and compassionate considerations may be involved. It may be possible for you to get a temporary resident visa to come into Canada for 90 days, say, because of humanitarian and compassionate considerations. Or you might be transferred from the United States to Canada on a intercorporate transfer where a large organization may have a Canadian office, and in that way spared the indignity of not being able to work in the United States while this is all transitioning.
One thing I'm really, really struck by is, you know, do you remember when they changed the rules for going from an LMO,
Yes.
labor market opinion in Canada, to a labor market impact assessment, and they got rid of the skilled worker program. They put a moratorium in Canada on skilled workers for, I think it was something like 6 months under Jason Kenney, was then the immigration minister, which was big, but not that big, if only because Canada's not that big. But when something like this happens in the United States, the impact is huge.
That's
Millions
true.
of people.
And Canada needs to take some aggressive steps to open up possibilities for some of these people who are locked in Neverland, who don't know which way to go. There's got to be an effort, and I know Parliament is discussing this, to open up some kind of program for skilled workers from the U.S., executives, manager types,
Right.
to be able to work here and make something out of their lives here in Canada if they can't do it in the U.S.
As unfortunate as all this stuff is, as we were saying before we were on camera, out of this stuff there usually is opportunity too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Andy, thanks a lot.
Okay.
Any problems that you have, Andy Summerchuck, Summerchuck at pacelawfirm.com. Best in the business. He can help you out. Bye for now.